With Destiny still in its death spiral from many bad moves after the Final Shape expansion, and banking its resurrection on a Star Wars themed expansion, it's looking grim for the future of that game. And as one who did play it, if Destiny dies, there will be something lost in the shooter genre that I don't think will be so easily recreated in other games. As one who is tired of in-game difficulty for the shooter genre being solely that enemy health and damage reach levels that are unhealthy for the balance in most games, raids and dungeons were what I believed to be one of, if not the next evolution in difficulty for shooters and most games in general. For anyone who doesn't know what Destiny's take on these modes are, I'll try to give a quick explanation. Raids and dungeons were 6 and 3-player missions that included many variations of special combat encounters. These could be broken down into two types, mobbing and boss encounters. Mobbing encounters are where the group must fight through waves of enemies while completing a puzzle, often multiple times in succession, while the conditions become harsher after each repetition until the encounter is complete or the group fails, resetting the encounter to the beginning. Boss encounters, of course, include a boss that is invulnerable until the puzzle linked to them is complete, which breaks the immunity for a limited time. This is called the damage phase. If the boss wasn't defeated in time, the immunity will restore and the puzzle must be completed again. If it is specifically a boss in a raid, you also have limited attempts before it forces a squad wipe. From dimension hopping to playing Simon Says and catching electric hairballs before they nuke the group, Destiny has had many different takes on what you need to do while unloading your magazine. No longer challenging only the quality of your gear, but your comprehension, execution, and problem-solving skills at the same time. This scratched an itch I didn't even know I had. But as fun as raids were, the glaring issue with them wasn't just that you needed 6 players to begin with. You needed 6 competent players, either with decent gear or a decent attitude during multiple failed attempts. But this is where dungeons shine as my favorite mode of the two. Dungeons are the 3-player, bite-sized rendition of raids. Of course, needing less players to begin with is already an endearing start, but this isn't the only difference. Unlike raids that had mechanics that needed multiple players to complete without the use of glitches or exploits, dungeons were designed with the possibility to be completed legitimately in a solo run, and this is where I enjoyed Destiny 2 the most, and I'm scared to lose it in gaming as a whole. Having to balance solving a puzzle while fighting for my life was one of the most stressful yet entertaining experiences I've had in gaming, as the problem wasn't just very beefy targets with the strategic depth of a puddle anymore, but now having to balance offense with defense and mobility, along with understanding something so ridiculous it almost belongs in a Resident Evil game. One problem that will prevent most games from recreating an experience close to this is simply the foundational balance in health and damage for both players and enemies. Even with the power creep that did happen in Destiny 2, it still held a tighter grip against the player's damage, allowing enemies and bosses to exist for more than a few seconds. Compared to other games like Borderlands and Warframe, where one-shotting everything isn't just common, the player expects it, along with enemy damage being so outlandish that survival in their endgame modes are questionable if you aren't just dodging or negating the attack entirely. Now with an attempt to explain what and why on a somewhat more professional level out of the way, I really did enjoy striving for Solo Flawless, which was the highest challenge each dungeon had to offer, where you had to play the entire mission solo, of course, but without leaving or dying. Having to strategize the whole run on your own, and having to scrounge through your vast arsenal to find the gear that fits the problem at hand, made that part of the game feel larger than it most likely was. Especially since there wasn't really a do-it-all kind of build. Some bosses were easier to beat with precision weapons, while others needed a blunter method, forcing me to switch again and again for most encounters, some needing whole new combos for me to succeed. It was a time I cherished greatly, and to know that it could be gone for a long time, if not forever, that doesn't sit well with me. I know that on the player's side, all we can do is talk, and that it's genuinely up to the game developers if they want to provide a mode that can rival Destiny's best form of endgame. But the fact that I haven't seen or heard anything that is similar to it scares me into thinking that gaming is just going to fall back into the basics of a nuclear damage sponge that takes forever to kill, but can one-shot you in turn. Now, as a little bit of a shameless self-plug-in, if the idea of me solo flawlessing something does tickle your fancy and you want to see one dingus try this, funny enough, I do have 2 videos about that back when I did play. They were my second and third video I ever tried posting. So sorry if the sound quality is a little low, but if that interests you, feel free to check them out.